So so let's start with the webinar. So the topic for today is today's discussion is thermal design and management for electronic devices. So the intent for this webinar is to make sure that the participants are are aware about the basic concepts of thermal design and management, as well as they get to know the current trends in this industry, along with the cooling technologies which are used conventionally, as well as the latest cooling technologies. Apart from that, we will also cover the opportunities which are there in this field and the career options. So let's just begin with the agenda. So this will be the agenda for today's discussion. So first, we so first we'll discuss the introduction. We will be introducing you to what is thermal design, what is thermal management, why it is so important, and what are the factors affecting the limits involved in this thermal management. Then we will discuss about the opportunities, the growth in this field. After that, we will discuss one of the unique phenomenon in semiconductor industry, as the Moore's law, and how the thermal design challenges take place in the electronic devices at different scales. After that, we will cover some of the conventional technologies of cooling. So one thing I want to bring to the note, that is the thermal challenges in electronics started post 2010, when we had this new technologies coming up, Android phones coming up, 4G, 5G in telecommunication, AI and ML towards the automation, and the AR and VR, that is the experience, the virtual experience. So all of that has significantly increased the thermal challenges. So prior to that, whatever the conventional technologies were there for thermal design, that we will cover. And we will have the non-conventional technologies, which will be increasingly used in these new applications. Then we will cover thermal packaging, which is also important for a thermal design of electronic device. Then we will cover the tools and techniques which we'll be using for thermal analysis. And finally, we will discuss the career options which are available in this field. So let's first start with the introduction of this topic. So the first slide I want to discuss on thermal design and why it is so important. So what is thermal design, first of all? So whenever we have an electronic device, it has to do a lot of functionality, right? So you may need to run you are running consider a smartphone, you are running a YouTube video, you are playing a game, you are doing some sort of computing there. So what is happening, because of that activity, there is power dissipation happening in the chip, and that power is converted into heat, and that needs to be dissipated outside the system of device. And what a thermal design does is make sure that that power is dissipated outside the electronic device very efficient. Now, why it has become important, right? So let's discuss that. So one statistic says that approximately 25 billion devices today are connected to internet, which means that almost all the devices which you are holding, the smartphone, your laptop, whether the new XR devices like Facebook, Oculus, all of those need internet connections. And what I mean by internet connection, that is, there is increased demand of information. Along with that, there are high-speed gaming requirements. So I will classify high-speed gaming in terms of FPS. So so earlier, before 2000s, the games which were played were very did not have a large frame per second. But today, the games which are played have as high as 150 frame per second. So this kind of high-speed gaming and computing, which we can see in the AI ML applications and Bitcoin mining, all of this leads to higher power dissipation. Now, higher power dissipation is okay, but along with the higher power dissipation, one more phenomenon is happening. That is, the transistor density is increasing in every generation. So transistors, which are the building blocks of any semiconductor device, the density of these transistors is increasing, and the sizes of transistors have reached to as low as nanometers. So this increasing density, which means that the higher power is being converted into higher power densities. That means your power per unit area is increasing at a very rapid pace. And hence, you have to make sure that you are able to dissipate all of this power very efficiently to make sure that your electronic device does not suffer from any catastrophic failure and is very reliable. So this I can write in the nutshell that a good thermal design will help in efficient heat dissipation from electronic equipments to meet the increasing power demands, or I can say the power density demands. Now this is thermal design. Now another term which is used in this industry is thermal management. So what is thermal management? We need to understand. Now, as I told that power dissipation from the electronic device is important, and as much important is to maintain that device below a certain threshold, maintaining the temperature of that device below a certain threshold. So for that, we have two reference points. One is junction temperature and other is skin temperature. So junction temperature is the temperature which you observe at the die level, and the skin temperature is the temperature which you observe on the outside of the electronic device. So these temperatures need to be maintained below or below a fixed value to ensure reliable operations. Now, how to do that? For that, we have thermal mitigation in place. And what it does, it has there is a hardware design and software interventions to keep these these temperatures within limit. Now, let's understand with an example that how thermal management takes place and why how thermal design and management are linked with each other. Let's just understand from this example. So here on the left, you can see we have a graph which shows a transient power. The power is varying with time. So suppose you want to, so this is a very representative graph for electronic device. So you just have to assume that so let's talk about this blue line first. So this blue line is the average power which an electronic device is supposed to consume. So what a thermal engineer will do, he will consider this average power and he will design a thermal system for that device. And once he designs that thermal system, then he is at most sure that at this power, his electronic device will not go beyond a certain threshold. However, in reality, it does not happen. Your electronic device will not consume power like this. The power can be something like this, which is in orange. So what will happen? You will see small bursts of very high power than the average. So average power is 4 and the burst power which you can see is 8. So what happens? The temperature of the device will not be within the limits. It will go beyond limits. It will breach the limits. So here, for example, I have set 90 C limit for the hypothetical device. And once that limit is breached, right? So it goes into this area, which is not desirable. So what happens is the thermal mitigation will kick in and you will see that a thermal throttling will take place. That means the power of the device is reduced either by lowering frequency or voltage, and then the temperature will start remaining within the limit. So this essentially is the thermal mitigation, which is a part of thermal management. Now, due to this thermal throttling phenomenon, what happens is the performance of your electronic device drops. And if that drop is not desirable, then you need to revisit your thermal design calculations and you need to create a thermal design for your device which is higher than this 4 watts, right? So in this way, how you want to see the performance of your device and how the thermal management will kick in after you have the device ready. All those factors are very important to understand this whole process of thermal design. So yeah, I hope this is clear. So let's move on to the next slide now. So in this slide now, we will discuss about the factors which will be driving the junction and skin temperature limits. So as you can see here, I have put a hypothetical 90 C limit. So now how do you come about this 90 C limit? So the first factor which drives this number is the prevention of catastrophic failure. So any electronic device, if you take it above a certain threshold temperature, it is bound to fail. It is bound to fail. So you have to keep that device below a certain temperature. For example, let's say we will keep that temperature here less than say 110 C. So these are representative numbers, nothing to take for. The second point is ensuring reliable operations. So here you can see a curve of reliability. So what this curve shows is how the reliability varies over time. So this B10, B20, B50 indicates the percentage of parts which will fail. And let's say this graph represents for a temperature of 80 C. Sorry. Let's say this represents for 80 C. Pointer is very bad. Let's say this is for 80 C. And we have another graph here. And this is for say 90 C. So what is happening is with a 10 C increase, your reliability is decreasing by half. So your reliability is decreasing by half. That is, earlier your 50% parts were failing after 4 years, and now they are failing after 2 years. 90. So earlier your parts were failing after 4 years, now they are failing after 2 years. That means with a 10th degree increase, your reliability is decreasing by half. So that also plays an important role in the selection of this limit. After that, we have the power and performance management. That means at 80 C, you will not see a lot of throttle. At 80 C, you will see a lot of throttling, and hence your performance will be lower at lower temperatures. At 90 C, you will see a higher performance. Ultimately, the limit which you are going to select, that will be a trade-off between the reliability and performance. If you want to have a higher reliability and lower performance, or you want to have lower reliability and higher performance. So based on those trade-offs, you have to select these limits. So different OEMs and companies have different methodologies to select these limits. And the final is user comfort. So when you hold the device in your hand or on your lap as a laptop, so what are the temperatures? So those are also decided by OEMs. They range generally in the range of 40 to 50 C. So this is how the factors are which drive these limits. So let's move on to the next topic, that is the opportunities in thermal design and management. So this numbers we have taken from a thermal management market report 2020. It says that the size of present global thermal management is approximately $8.8 billion. And the interesting thing about this is that it is estimated to grow at a CAGR of 8.2, and it will become around $13 billion by 2025. That means you will have a lot of career opportunities in this field, and a lot of companies will be coming up with innovative thermal solutions. So there are a lot of opportunities for engineers to go into this field. Now, why we are seeing this growth despite COVID-19? So let's discuss that. So the first is, as I told you, that the power densities are becoming higher, and there is a demand for effective thermal management solutions for all these high power consuming devices. So that is one of the factors. The second factor is the rapid increase in demand of electronic products in all the industries. Now, electronic devices are used in aerospace industry, automotive industry. We have a whole lot of household industries. Newer applications are coming like AR, VR. Because of this rapid increase, we are seeing a very large growth in this sector. And yeah, the last point is more or less connected to the first one. That is, because of the radical miniaturization of electronics, we are observing a demand for effective thermal management solutions. So now in this COVID-19 pandemic, also due to the work from home conditions, there is a significant demand especially in the household electronic computers like desktop, laptop, smartphones. And due to this high demand in the recent months of January and February, there was a supply issue. That is, you have demand, you have people demanding the products, but there was no supply. The leading chip making companies were affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and they were not able to cater to demand. So additional $20 billion investment needs to be done to cater to the demand. So that is how the demand is increasing in this sector. So let's now talk about the technicals of the thermal design. So we will discuss one important phenomenon in electronic industry is the Moore's law. So here you can see the graph of Moore's law. So what Moore's law says is that the transistor count on electronic device is bound to increase. That is, it is bound to become double in every 2 years. And this was an observation made by Mr. Gordon Moore in around the 60s or 70s. And so this Moore's law has transformed the electronic industry completely. So from 2000 transistor count to a billion transistor on the device, it has almost remained linear. So that means the Moore's law has been valid till today, and that has given rise to a lot of challenges in thermal design of electronic devices. So these challenges have become huge because of the different scales which are now involved in the electronic devices. So right from the transistor, which is of the size of nanometers today, to the die, which is in millimeters, and then you have the system level, which may be in centimeters, to data centers. You have a whole lot of scales, and every scale has its unique thermal challenge. So let's first discuss about the transistor. So yeah, when the computer advent was done, it was those big vacuum tubes were there, right? So it occupied an entire room. But today we have transistors which are of the size of nanometer. Now the challenge with the emerging technologies of transistor is self-heating. That means the technology for transistor has improved so much that you are not able to throw the heat out away from the transistor in the first stage itself, right? So this challenge has to be addressed at the manufacturing level, and the interesting readers can read more about this thermal challenge. There are many articles and papers studying this self-heating effect in the recent 3 nanometer transistors. The second scale which we are going to look at is silicon die level. So silicon, so the dies which are used today are in millimeter size, and the biggest challenge is localized hotspot. So again, I will give you an example of a smartphone. So suppose you are streaming a YouTube video, then what happens? The transistors housed on this die. So some group of the transistors will be very active when you run a YouTube video, and what they will do is they will consume a lot of power, and they will create a localized hotspot. So how to mitigate that? So you need to diffuse away the localized hotspot and reduce the temperature by putting thermal solutions or optimizing your floor plan on the die. The next level challenge is the system level challenge. So here, so this is the heart of your thermal system design, because what this will do is connect your transistors at the silicon die level to the outside system, so that your heat can travel outside the device into the atmosphere. So we will have a host of thermal solutions mounted here, from right from the die to the ambient. So this will include thermal interface materials, heat spreaders, heat sinks, heat pipes, vapor chambers. So all of those cooling technologies we will be discussing in the future slides. So all of that will be a part of the thermal solution design. Now coming to the next level, that is the data center level. So here the scale is very huge. You will have data centers housed in big rooms. So we can consider the scale in meters. And what exactly happens in a data center? So big data companies like Facebook, Microsoft, they have their servers housed in these racks. So these are racks and these are servers housed here. Now for each of those servers, we cannot create a local thermal solution. So for all of these servers housed in racks, we create a single solution. And that is a large cooling system. Uh, so uh, I hope most of you who have read about heat, refrigeration, air conditioning may be aware with the vapor compression systems, vapor absorption. So those vapor compression and absorption kind of systems are used here to cool these devices. So that completes the scope of thermal design challenges with respect to Moore's law. Let's move on to the next topic,